A lockdown economy without the lockdowns. 48% of U.S. small businesses could not even pay their rent last month, Michael Snyder reports. When nearly half of all small businesses are struggling so much that they can't even pay their rent, you have an enormous economic crisis on your hands. The last time that we witnessed anything like this was during the peak of the COVID pandemic, but here in 2024 we don't have a major global health crisis to blame for the catastrophic economic performance. In March 2021, 49% of small business owners in the United States could not make their rent payments, but that was because so many states had instituted lockdowns which were severely harming the economy. In September 2024, 48% of small business owners in the United States could not make their rent payments, but there is no excuse this time around. Close to half of small business owners could not pay their rent in September, making a new 3-year high. And according to business networking platform Alienable September's revenue and rent report, 48% of small business renters could not make their rent payments. That was up from 41% in July and August. And it was the highest it has been since COVID recovery era in March 2021, when 49% of small business owners were delinquent. We have a lockdown economy without the lockdowns. Does anyone out there want to try to put a positive spin on this? Because if you do, I would love to hear what you have to say. Fox Business interviewed one restaurant owner in California that has tried everything that she can to keep the restaurant going, her restaurant going. A regenerative farmer and restaurateur who closed several of her California eateries is now facing the possibility of shutting down her remaining 2 locations. Molly Engelbart, owner of Sage Regenerative Kitchen, said despite her continuous attempts to keep her restaurants afloat, they're barely hanging on by a thread. It does not feel like we can hold on because I've run out of assets to literally liquidate to keep us above ground and above water, she said. This is what she told Fox Business. Engelhart said she and her husband leveraged everything, including their retirement and home, in hopes that things would turn around. I feel so badly for her, but the truth is that there are countless other small business owners out there that are in the same exact boat. Our economy really stinks, and that's the bottom line. Of course, many larger businesses are deeply struggling too. In fact, we just learned that TGI Fridays has just filed for bankruptcy. Casual dining chain TGI Fridays, Inc. filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in Texas on Saturday, with the company's executive chairman saying it still has not fully recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. The bar and grill chain, known for serving up hamburgers, loaded potato skins, and $5 happy hour drinks, said the move was done to address legacy liabilities, position restaurants for long-term success, the company said in the press release. The Dallas-based company says 39 of its corporate-operated domestic restaurants would remain open. When I first started using the term restaurant apocalypse many months ago, a lot of people thought I was exaggerating, and since then, chain after chain has gone bankrupt. It turns out that I was not exaggerating one bit. Meanwhile, the percentage of middle-income households that rate their financial situations negatively has just hit a brand new high. America's middle class is feeling the squeeze like never before, according to new data. Primerica's latest financial security monitor report for the third quarter found 55% of middle-income households now rate their personal financial situation negatively, a 6-point jump from the previous survey. For the first time in a year, a majority of middle-income households are feeling negatively about their personal finances, said Glenn Williams, CEO of Primerica. In fact, this latest report represents the highest negative rating we've seen since we began fielding the survey exactly 4 years ago. The middle class is being absolutely eviscerated, and it's getting worse with each passing month. Last week, I was stunned to learn that hundreds of people had applied to rent a sleeping pod, quote unquote, in San Francisco for $700 a month. A company that rents sleeping pods in downtown San Francisco for $700 a month has had 300 people apply for its remaining 17 beds, the company CEO said. Brownstone Shared Housing describes its mission as providing low-cost housing in the most expensive cities. Its bunk bed style pods, measuring approximately 3.5 feet by 4 feet by 6.5 feet, large enough to fit a twin mattress. The pods come with privacy curtains inside, lighting and charging ports for your cell phone. I still remember the days when you could rent a spectacular luxury apartment for $700 a month. And now all you get for $700 is a pod that allows you to sleep in a large room with a bunch of other stinky people. The government has been feeding us numbers that indicate that the economy is performing well, but it turns out that this was just an illusion. For example, we were learning that the labor market is actually far weaker than we were originally told. Biden-Harris lied about job numbers. They said in August there were 159,000 added. There were only 78,000 added. In September they said 254,000, but now it got to 223,000. In October they expected 100,000, but only got 12,000. Well, they later revised October's numbers even lower. It takes 150,000 jobs a month to just keep up with population growth, and that does not even account for the millions upon millions of people that have been coming into this country illegally. And the outlook for the months ahead is not good at all. It's being reported that Nissan is planning on cutting production of its main U.S. models by 30%. In continuing signs that the U.S. consumer is tapped, Nissan is planning on cutting production of its main U.S. models by 30%, according to a new report from Nikkei, which says the cuts could jeopardize the automaker's 2024 global sales targets. Nissan forecasts a 99% drop in quarterly operating profits to 995 million yen, that's $6.25 million, and a 12% decline to 500 billion yen for the year, citing weakened U.S. market earnings, the report says. The company's target of 3.65 million vehicles sold for 2024 is now at risk, it says. If Nissan thought that the economy was about to turn around, they would not be doing this. So far, in 2024, U.S. banks have shut down more than 700 branches. U.S. banks closed more than 700 branches in the first 9 months of the year, forcing thousands to travel further to access vital services. Bank of America closed the most locations of any bank, shuttering 132 between January and September. U.S. Bank followed swiftly behind, having closed 101 of their own branches. If our banks thought that the economy was about to turn around, they would not be doing this. Warren Buffett continues to sell off stock, and he now has a cash stockpile of $325 billion. Berkshire Hathaway, the conglomerate headed by Warren Buffett, extended its retreat from stocks in the third quarter, cutting its holdings in Apple and Bank of America and increasing its cash to a record of $325.2 billion. If Warren Buffett thought that the economy was about to turn around, he wouldn't be doing this. Let's be real. I've been documenting our decline for more than 10 years, and now we've reached a terminal phase. Our leaders flooded the system with money and piled up trillions upon trillions of dollars in new debt, and they were able to delay the inevitable for a few years, but now the economy is crashing anyway. Economic pain is all around us, but what is ahead is going to be even worse. This is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. About the author, Michael Snyder's new book, Why, is available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 8 other books available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecy of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream and the Most Important News, and he always freely, happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.